On problem number 31, they give us a function and ask us to find the second derivative. This notation they gave us means find the second derivative of the function. And a is a constant. So let's get started. We're going to differentiate this implicitly. The derivative of x squared is 2x. The derivative of y squared is 2y dy dx. And a is a constant, so a squared is a constant, and the derivative of any constant is 0. Now we're going to get y by itself. We're going to get dy dx by itself. So we're going to subtract 2x. We're going to divide by 2y. And now we're going to see that the 2's cancel. So the first derivative, dy dx, is the opposite of x over y. Now what we're going to do is find the second derivative. Looks like we're going to use the quotient rule. So we'll say the second derivative is going to be low d high, so low y times negative 1, minus high d low all over low squared. Okay, now this is an answer, and it doesn't match any of the options in the multiple choice list. So let's clean this up a little bit and see what we can make this look like. We'll get negative 1 times y, then minus the opposite of x becomes plus x times dy dx. Now, here's what we're going to do. Do you remember just a moment ago we found that dy dx is equal to the opposite of x over y? So what we're going to do is we're going to replace dy dx with the opposite of x over y. So it's all over y squared. Now we're getting closer, but this still doesn't match any of the options. So what we've got to do is keep working. You see that we have a fraction inside of a fraction, so let's get rid of that one. We'll have second derivative of y with respect to x is, we can multiply this first term times y over y to get a common denominator, and that's going to give us the opposite of y squared, and then if we multiply the second term, x times the opposite of x, we get minus x squared all over y. That's the numerator of our fraction. Now we get all over y squared. So now, let's make this denominator look like a fraction, call that y squared over 1. Remember that dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So we're going to say that the second derivative of y with respect to x is the opposite of y squared minus x squared over y. It's getting cramped, so we're just going to give ourselves a little more room. There we go. And now we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of y squared over 1, which is 1 over y squared. And we all see that this is going to make the opposite of y squared minus x squared all over y cubed. And this doesn't match any of the options. The closest thing is option A, only option A has y squared in the denominator, and we have y cubed. So our first instinct is there's a typo on the page. The answer is supposed to be A, but what they did is they hit us with a little cheap shot here. We're going to do a little more substituting. And this is a trick you probably wouldn't have thought of on your own, at least not the first time through. But take a look at what was given in the beginning. They told us that x squared plus y squared equals a squared. Now, take a look at what we have in the numerator of our fraction. We've got the opposite of y squared minus x squared. We can factor negative 1 out of this term, and we'll have negative 1 times y squared plus x squared. Now remember what we just said. X squared plus y squared equals a squared. So this all can be thought of as negative 1 times a squared. Like I said, they hit us with a little cheap shot, but we're not scared. So we get the second derivative of y with respect to x is, on top we get negative 1 times a squared over y cubed. And this one does match one of the options. Matches option letter D, as in defense. Now, on a free response test or quiz, you sure wouldn't, or certainly wouldn't, have to do all of that substituting. But on a multiple choice question, you have to make our answer match the options that are listed. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching the video.